All right, welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott, and our guest today is Jaden, who is a graphic designer and content marketer based in New York City and also has a phenomenal manga YouTube channel. Jaden, welcome
Hello.
to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Jaden, I would love for you to share in this episode just to our audience what is it like working in the manga industry. But before we do that, I think it would be important to know someone just doesn't fall into my guess is graphic design. So what was some of your upbringing as a child that kind of helped influence you to want to go down this path?
Yeah, sure thing. So I always did content creation. I was always into making videos, like during like Pokemon cards, Call of Duty, that transitioned more into Nintendo and for anime. So I was like, man, I need some thumbnails. I need some channel art. It's like I kind of don't want to pay anyone. Let me kind of make it myself. So I slowly started progressing, making all thumbnails, channel art. And I kept on going. I rebranded my channel like every other month, just trying out new things, learning new things. So then I just kept on using Photoshop for like long time, just creating these thumbnails. Then I said I got decent at it. I kept on improving. And then one of my friends was like, "Hey, I see you doing thumbnails. Can I have a banner?" I'm like, "Okay." So I make banners and the whole friend group wants banners. So I started giving out banners. I'm like, well, I could kind of charge for this a little bit. So I started taking it more seriously, realizing people have an interest in graphic design, like social media branding. So I started making more graphics for my channel, for friends, and now I started doing commission as a freelancer. And then I was also pretty deep into esports, like competitive gaming for the fighting game scene. So like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, Guilty Gear Strive. So I was big into esports too. So I ended up joining an esports team called Armada. And there I did graphic design for the team as well. So with me doing graphic design as like more freelance and my personal self, I also did it for esports more professionally.
That is quite the resume. That's incredible. What were as you were a child then? As what were some manga and anime that helped you fall in love in this hobby, which kind of had you start making the banners in your channel?
Oh yeah, so I was big into when I was really young, me and my cousin, we played Dragon Ball, like all the Dragon Ball Z games on the Xbox, PlayStation. So we played all those like Rage and Blast, like all the Dragon Ball games. I was big into Pokemon. I watched all the Pokemon anime. I'm still do. I'm caught up. Big into Dragon Ball Z. I'm still caught up with the manga for Super. So those two series really piqued my interest. And then, of course, like Beyblade, Yu-Gi-Oh, all that things. And then I started getting more into it because I mainly was just a Nintendo. I mainly played video games. So, and I'd seen these things that sort of look anime-ish, like Fire Emblem and like Xenoblade. Like, this look kind of anime. So I was like, even though I was just a pretty noob, I know about like shonen stuff and Pokemon. So then I checked out a few other series like Steins Gate, Sword Art Online, Attack on Titan. Then I was like, oh, wow, this is like really good. So then I just kept on watching. I binged like so many series. Like there was like a year where I like played no games, my entire everything just switched to anime. So like that's all I watched, trying out new series, trying out new things, finding what I'm interested in anime. And now here I am. Now I'm into manga. Heck, it's a lot.
Down the rabbit hole you went,
Yep, just like that.
and we're still in the Wonderland. It sounds like.
Yep. So I have a lot to watch, a lot to experience. So a lot to go.
So my guess, most people are not in the industry because of the money, and I could be
Mhm,
wrong, but because of a passion for the hobby.
mhm.
So I'd love to know what made you want to become a graphic designer, and particularly even help out. If I believe you worked for Yen Press for a bit.
Mhm. Yeah, so since I was doing commissions and esports, but before working in the manga industry, I already had a portfolio and I was leaning more into esports. I already had a resume. I built a cover letter. So I'm already interested in manga. By the time I applied for Yen Press, I was already deep into the community. I was like pretty established. I watched a lot. I was following all the news, all the companies, the sites and stuff. And me being based in New York, Yen Press posted they were hiring a design intern and they're also based in New York. So ended up applying with just my portfolio. I never worked a job before. So just straight freelance and esports. Esports was more of like a side project. It was like a team-based thing where everyone did a little bit of everything. It was really niche, but it was quite fun. So ended up just using my portfolio and resume, ended up landing an interview for a design internship. That was also like I didn't even apply for jobs around then. I just kind of saw it on my Twitter, and I was like, I know my portfolio is like entirely anime. Like half of the stuff on my portfolio is their properties. So I'm like, I'm already a fan. I'm in the know. So that's when I applied and I got an interview. Ended up getting the position.
Oh, that's incredible. So Jane, I would you walk me through a little bit because my guess there's other people who might feel intimidated sharing their work or let
Mhm,
alone applying for a job. And you really took a leap of faith in some ways,
mhm,
even being vulnerable, sharing, here's what I have. And they could have either
mhm,
rejected and said it's not good enough, or you took that risk where they say, actually, this is really neat. And actually, Jaden can
mhm,
actually help bring something to the table. So could you help walk us through what was that like? Were you nervous or what made you feel like to take that step? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who um,
mhm.
are in that same bucket where they'll see that listing, but they're just not sure if they should do it.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say always go for an opportunity. The worst they could say is no, or some instances not respond, but that's how it is in a job scene. But it's never a problem of going for just take your shot. It won't affect, it only could benefit you if you end up getting a response. I feel like it's definitely intimidation and could be nerve-wracking, but definitely just give it a shot. It won't hurt at all. May spend some time to like maybe fix up your resume, portfolio cover letter, depending on which field you would like to. But just give it your shot and just the worst can happen is no. And then you could keep on waiting for another opportunity in the same company or just browse your options. There's a lot of options there and just gotta say go for it.
I think that's really key that you said, Jaden, is it's okay to hear no.
Hmm.
And hearing no doesn't mean that you're rejected or that your artwork's not good. That means let's move on next because there will be a niche or community that will value it.
Definitely.
So I have seen some of your banners, which are phenomenal. I've seen your
Hmm.
cover, your portfolio. I dug deep a little bit before our interview.
Hmm.
What would you recommend for someone that's watching YouTube videos and they're like, man, I'd love to learn how to do some of this graphic design work. It sounds like you were somewhat self-taught.
Hmm.
What path or what tools would you recommend for someone who doesn't really know anything other than it's something they wanted to get their feet wet in?
Definitely. I'd say definitely try out the Adobe Cloud. I'm pretty sure it's like a 14-day free trial. I recommend if you want to learn graphic design. Now, this is a super hot take. I recommend jumping straight into Photoshop because it's not intimidating as it seems. Once you learn basis, there's like YouTube videos, like 2-minute tutorial for simple things like text, layering, very simple stuff. And once you get the grasp, like if you just put a few hours into it each day, like a week, you have a general understanding on how to make like a thumbnail. So just slowly progressing, use brushes, slowly progressing. And if you want to learn more, I definitely recommend courses, online courses like Udemy. So Udemy is a great courses. They have a ton of great sales like Black Friday. I would imagine they're gonna have a Thanksgiving sale, Labor Day sale. Their courses can be like $20, like and they go for like $200, like master classes in fields. Like after my internship, I've done a master class in graphic design, digital marketing, and Google Analytics to further my experience. So definitely look into that more professionally if you want to do courses. Udemy, stuff like Udemy is Skillshare are two ones I always recommend. And just keep on learning, watch tutorials. There's so many articles, there's so many tips. Just I watch a lot of when I first started, I watched a lot of speed arts. I like people like kind of wrapping up the speed and like screen sharing, kind of seeing their concepts and ideas. And I always looked at portfolios if it was mutual with people, or I even went to LinkedIn pages. Like I went to top companies like Crunchyroll, Riot Games, all these gaming manga industry companies, and went to their graphic designers and went to their portfolios just to see what are they creating to land this position. And I'll take inspiration. I'll always write down notes, and I definitely just look into anything to keep on improving.
That's incredible. That's a lot. That's a lot to take
Hmm.
in. So I recommend
Yes.
for some people maybe rewatching that clip. I
Hmm.
I'll put links down below for you said the software, the
Hmm.
training masterclass.
Yeah, I
Uh,
personally took Udemy.
Udemy. So as a first step, if I'm hearing right, you'd recommend us checking out Photoshop and
Hmm.
start doing tutorials, learn a couple tutorials on basics on Photoshop first as a good way to get your feet wet to see if this is something you're interested in.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely say try out Photoshop, learn the basics, and see if it interests you.
Hmm.
I would say there is easier alternatives. There's quite a lot, but I do say since if you're really interested in it, Adobe's like industry standard at this point. Nothing much really compares, in my opinion. So, mhm,
I completely agree. I edit everything on Adobe Premiere.
mhm.
I just wish there wasn't a monthly fee.
Yes, I'm with you.
And for the we mentioned before, so you talked about your internship with Yen Press for design and marketing. Would you walk us through what it was like getting that job once you landed it? And then
Yeah, so
what would a typical day look like
mhm.
at Yen Press?
Yeah, sure thing. So my internship was 1 year. I'm actually still working for Yen Press. I'm a freelancer now, working on video projects. So I did a 1 year internship. So originally it was just 6 months of design. So it was a 6 month internship. So I designed covers for a lot of popular volumes like Sword Art Online, ReZero, High School DxD, A Cell World, Gun Gale Online, and like Kingdom Hearts. So I done a lot of covers for that. But the main thing I did was advertisements. So, like for example, like if there's like a promotion like Anime News Network or like any magazine like Book Riot, Publishers Weekly, I would design advertisements for that. So that was the main design work I did. And towards the later half of my internship, I started doing more covers. So going into the internship, designing print work, you use Adobe InDesign. And I never used that in my life. So going into the internship, pretty much that's what everyone used. I'm a Photoshop guy. I don't know this. So I ended up, so it was really great people again. They taught me a lot. So I got a grasp on it pretty well. Honestly, it wasn't too hard to learn. If you know Photoshop, it's a bit different because it's like you got to know about margins, bleed, and trim sizes. But once you get the hang of it, it's pretty nice. And you can incorporate like your PSDs and like if you want to have a do something more complicated in Photoshop, kind of just transfer it in. So it definitely eases it out a bit. So yeah, I designed a lot of covers work for there. And so then after that, I was offered another 6 months in the marketing team because it felt like my skill set worked better for marketing since I was like still doing YouTube, I was in the video. So actually during the end of my graphic design internship, the marketing team needed help with like photos for the social media. It was like, oh, we kind of don't have a guy with a camera. And I had a camera. So I was like, I could take some photos for you. I was like, okay. So I took some photos, ended up liking it. And we did a expo. So Crunchyroll, the virtual Crunchyroll 2021 expo panel, I ended up recording it. This is still in my design. So I ended up recording it and helping out with that with marketing projects. And I did a lot of ads for marketing as well. So during the end of it, there was like, hey, how would you feel if you could do another 6 months in the marketing internship? So then that's when I did marketing. So in my marketing internship, I enjoyed both, but marketing was really great. So I did all photography. I'd redesign the social media. So if you see like the cover debuts, digital now, um, like available nows, I designed all the templates that are currently still posted. I designed banners for the website monthly. I did a lot of videos. So I worked with licensors like Disney for the Kingdom Hearts premium box that we released. And just in general, a lot of marketing tasks, publicity. So overall, it was great. I did social media as well. We also attended Anime NYC and New York Comic Con. So there, I designed the panel presentations. We worked the booth. Worked on the floor, did a lot of photos and stuff. And yeah, so if I had to say a typical day, so towards the my design internship, it was actually because of COVID, so the offices were completely down. So it was fully remote. But towards the end of, well, yeah, towards marketing, it became hybrid. So I came into the office once or twice a week, and that's when I typically did like more of the content. So I did like videos, recording, so I did photography in the library office, and then I did TikToks. That's ended up being a pretty big factor where I did TikToks. And so that was like the new thing. I created the company TikTok page. Everyone was excited for that. It's a new social media. So of course the young Gen Z are the one that did the TikTok. So there was that. And yeah, typically there's a lot of projects. There's always quite a lot of work to do. But overall I enjoyed it. It was great experiences, especially me just having the opportunity to do another internship and being new to like work in general, marketing. I thought it was everything was a learning experience. I always ask for like advice, improvement, just to keep on improving.
So that's phenomenal. So it
Mhm.
sounds like a typical day is not a typical day, but something different almost every day you're doing.
Yeah, there's the basics. So like Always I probably like always get a few I probably always work on like a graphic design project throughout the week. Work on the photos. Like for example, I went on Wednesday. And so every Wednesday I would take photos. I would edit the photos on Lightroom or like more ambitious projects like video. So there's always something on Wednesday. I know my Wednesday schedule is pretty much set compared to the other days. And throughout the other days, there's always projects like um watermarking review copies and sending to influencers, reviewers, or looking up publicity stuff for influencers, or let's say just doing emails, doing working on social media, or creating graphic design projects for advertisements or social media campaigns. So it definitely is a little bit of everything, but it all ties into the same like few topics. Just depends on what am I receiving that week.
Did you have any fears working for such a big publisher?
I'd oh yeah, I'd say so. So Disney was a bit ambitious. If you had to work at Disney, it's quite picky. So working with Disney, there's definitely a lot of pickiness, just considering how large the company is, and dealing with licensors can be quite intimidating. Um, Disney for the Kingdom Hearts video I produced, there's quite a lot of changes for small things. Like we had a keyblade, and there's like a reflection of light on it, and Disney wanted the whole section re-recorded. And we ended up doing we had a meeting room in the office, so what we ended up doing, I ended up pushing the table forward. We had black fabric and we taped like painters taped it to the wall on the table to make like a backdrop. So when Disney asked for repeated recording changes, that mean we had to like tear down the meeting room every time to re-record like a 2 second clip. So yeah, Disney and it just in general working for like Kingdom Hearts, such a big franchise, especially on the hype. Sora got announced for Smash Bros. Everyone knows Kingdom Hearts. So it's definitely a pretty intimidating. And just in general, I did a lot of projects for solo leveling. So solo leveling was a new
I
property for Yen
I
Press, one of the
love
biggest ones.
solo leveling.
Yes.
I just finished volume 5. I'm so sad that's going to be
Yes.
2023 till the physical
Mhm.
volume 6 is out. But oh, that
Mhm.
that has a special place in my heart. It might make
Yes.
my top 10.
It's so good. I had such a pleasure working on it. But it was such a new thing because when I originally started, yeah, President House solo leveling, but it was like really new. So like I did like during my design, I did my first project was actually solo leveling. It was the Anime News Network takeover skin. So it was just coming out. So like on one of the biggest anime sites, I designed the front cover for it, like the front skin for the entire website. My first project, and a lot of people view Anime News Network and meeting deadlines is also because like I was new, so meeting deadlines was there. But I ended up going through and then transition to marketing. I'd done a lot. So for Yen Audio, we have the solo leveling audiobook for the light novel. I designed a lot of videos for that, like like live captions I done. Just in general, like a lot of advertisements for solo leveling. And it was like a new thing. So I'll say it's a bit more it was a bit scary since it's new. Everyone's so like understanding, so loving in the whole Korean phase. So I'd say just in general, and just dealing with such big companies like Kadokawa, that was a bit intimidating. But once you get more of a feel for it, you have a general understanding.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And I just want to go
Mhm.
back to I understand Walt Disney is just very passionate about their IP, and
Yes.
yeah, I understand somebody can feel picky, but I know they're just really trying to protect that brand. And I
Yes, for
can't.
sure.
And it's such a large corporation that you're working with that you're trying to do the best you can to cast them in the best light.
Hmm.
So, what would be your uh, what would be your best piece of advice you'd give someone who inspires to do something in anime or manga when it comes to graphic design?
Mhm. For graphic design, I'd say have your passion. If you want to specifically be in the niche of anime and manga, have your passion for anime and manga show through the work you make. Like if you have a portfolio, and you want to like specifically aim for a manga or anime job, have some of the titles feature in your work. Like even if it's not your field, let's say you do more traditional advertisements, have do some fun projects. You don't everything in your portfolio don't have to be strictly for like commission based or work. Like I make a lot of thumbnails just for fun, just to beef up my portfolio. So like for example, I made a Attack on Titan and the course recoil thumbnail because I like in the anime, like, oh, maybe I could add these properties to my portfolio. So think of it like that. Always include things you're interested in, make it seem more personal and tie into the brand. Obviously, if you're like job hunting and applying, you're gonna apply for a lot of companies and a lot of brands, but specifically in the manga, anime, like just companies, definitely have your portfolio show interest in the company. You will stand out much more than traditional graphic design, in my personal opinion. And in general, just more, I feel like more anime manga companies look for more experience even in the entry level positions. So I'd just say having a bit of a head on like the community aspect, being knowledgeable, just showing interest through your work and the way you write your cover letters to show you're passionate about it truly could send you out.
And knowing all that you know now, since you've been in this hobby, what if you could go back in time, what would you want to tell your past self?
What that my past self was honestly just have your passions go through because I never attended college. I got this internship pretty early. So I never attended college. So I didn't know what I was doing. So now that this internship, I mean the internship was 1 year, but now I'm still currently a freelancer for Yen Press. And I had a few other opportunities come. So we're still talking, but so we're just seeing things. So definitely just keep your head up, always just shoot your shot. Nothing could go wrong with trying and always make definitely one of the best things I've done was making connections. Connections are the best thing, especially if you go to conventions, even like if you go to like conventions like New York Comic Con, NYC, you don't even have to be like a influencer or a person in the industry. Just talk to people at the booth. They're the most friendly people ever. Like they will have conversations with you. Like if someone came up to me and I'm working like the Yen Press booth and someone's asked me questions about the industry, I would tell them everything. I'm just so passionate about it. Everyone that's in the industry is just passionate people. They would love to share the information. Like they feel themselves honored to be in the community. Just want to share the knowledge. So definitely just always reach out. If you have like connections on like LinkedIn, is great. If even if you see people with like working at Crunchyroll, for example, in their Twitter bios, feel free to reach out. Definitely just expand your networking.
I love it. And I'll say, so I went to Sakura Con in
Mhm.
Seattle, and the Yen Press did a panel,
Mhm.
and you could tell they just have a lot of fun with each other. They're
Yep.
even making jabs at each other during the announcements.
Yes.
Uh, one person forgot to bring the books for the giveaway, and so they were just giving him a hard
Mhm.
time. And he's like, "I have a water bottle." And he's like, "It's not a book." And it was so funny seeing how they can
Man.
still give each other a hard time, but you can tell that they really love the industry. They love each other, and they were
Mhm.
very easy to talk to, even though I was very nervous going to a mic.
Mhm.
This was entertaining. So I'll ask you this:
Mhm.
what's some of the weirdest questions you've gotten uh,
Mhm.
at Yen Press? And the reason why I want to share it is I found it hilarious, and I could be wrong in this. There was a
Mhm.
passionate fan that you could hear the anger in his voice when
Mhm.
he asked, when is the next Twilight volume coming out?
Mhm.
And they're like, we don't even have that IP address anymore. And I didn't even know there
Mhm.
was the Twilight manga, the
Yeah.
the vampire series.
Mhm. Yeah.
But this fan was very passionate
Mhm.
that he did not have all the volumes. And apparently the
Yes.
IP was dropped. So I never even know that was a thing. So what I'd
Mhm.
just be curious, what were some of the most interesting or weird or just something funny, just of a question that you had when while you're working at those booths?
Yeah, so definitely people request a lot of reprints for certain series. So like even through social media or like booths, for example. So reprints is like one of the most highly requested thing for so many out of print series. Especially it's harder now to keep things in print due to COVID and printing issues. So like you can imagine like all the companies are facing. You could see like Viz Media, Kodansha, Seven Seas all having restock issues still to this day, including Yen Press. So especially during the time when I was marketing series, I repeatedly heard like, "Oh, reprint this." Like that's like the tweet could be about like something completely random. It could be about like Bungo Stray Dogs, and it could be like repeat Hanako Kun, repeat Solo Love. Like it just could be off topic. Like their demand for reprints is really there, and especially when confronted in person, saying, "Hey, when is like Horimiya Volume 7 getting reprinted?" And I was like. I mean, it's a popular series. I could give you the benefit of the doubt. It's popular. People requesting it. It's most likely going to get reprinted. But some people ask for more niche series, like a really niche older light novel of like a volume four. That's a bit harder to say, but we keep answers optimistic. You never know what could happen. We always try and think. So, like, say for example, if we order like a volume one and see how it does and continue the series, or just some special occasion, like um for example, two of the premium editions, like the Pandora box for Pandora Hearts and the Spice Wolf Collector's Edition, those were exclusives and people always wanted them, but they didn't expect it too much. They didn't expect it to come back. And those did come back. And so you can see the same with a lot of other series. Like some older series like Soul Eater is popping back up in stores now. So a lot of older things. So just mainly reprints was a lot of questions I had. And then Yen Press does a lot of giveaway items too. So like we have like a lot. So each day we kind of go. So if we won't lose them all in day one, because free stuff, right? So we have them set for Friday, like Saturday, Sunday specifically. And so we posted on Twitter and social media saying, hey, pick out our giveaways. So someone saw it on Friday, like a Madoka Wrath Arc poster. So they ended up coming Friday or Saturday when we posted it on Friday. It was like, where's the poster? And I was like, oh, that was for Friday. We don't have anymore. And they got like really, really upset. And Moed made a lot of tweets about the Madoka, like say, I own every book, and this poster would have looked great right here. And so it was like really bad. And so I felt really, really bad. So could I get the poster, even though like this we also made it pretty transparent that it was Friday, we will run low. So for typically each single day, and we didn't have any in the back or anything like that. So I felt really bad, but just seeing the aftermath on Twitter was also quite interesting to see how people take things. So it's definitely that was a learning experience and an interesting experience.
That's hilarious. And I gotta say, Yen Press has been crushing it with reprints.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
Thanksgiving last year, Thanksgiving days when they announced the Yen Press box set, the collector's
Mhm.
edition. I bought that. I can't. I was shocked that Thanksgiving Day on Twitter is when it's blowing up. But I
Yeah.
bought that right away. You guys, they just reprinted Higurashi, which I
Yep.
mean, there was a change petition written for Yen Press to
Mhm.
reprint it. So I'm my fingers are crossed on the sequel. Well, I'm hoping that Higurashi does well enough. But
Mhm.
and then Barakamon, the calligraphy, one of the best slice of
Mhm.
life. They just reprinted that. And
Yep.
then not the collector edition, but regular Pandora Hearts just got reprinted. So I
Mhm.
really do appreciate that Yen Press is listening to the fans,
Oh,
even though they
definitely.
can't say we're reprinting always. But
Mhm.
I am so grateful for the leaps and bounds, and it's just been neat this year alone. It just seems like Yen Press is leading that charge when it comes to reprinting some of these older series.
Oh yes, all I can say just keep on expecting more. I want to say Higurashi just got reprinted recently. It's been in the works for a very long time. So not to say too much, but we've been hearing Higurashi reprints for quite a while. It took with COVID and everything, it took a long time to get to the warehouse, ship the stores and everything. But like it spans on Twitter. We are definitely known about it, and Higurashi took a long time. Those are big books. They're more expensive books too. So that it's like two like the books are really thick. So and just in general, it's a popular series. And even with like that new anime coming out, so it's new, it's a hot title. So it's been the reprint took us it took more than long time expected. Like I was planning to make a I had the idea of making a TikTok for the Higurashi reprints for the longest time, and it got reprinted after my internship. So it took such a long time. So these things take a long time. So, like for example, Bungo Stray Dogs, people, it's like 22 volumes with like four spin-offs, light novels. People always requesting like a certain volume, like a volume four, a volume 12, like some random volume. Just expect it. It's
Yeah.
if it's like really a popular IP, expect great out of it. It's probably going to be in print. You're going to get it eventually. I know there's a ton of people on Twitter like Fire Luna or like Manga Restocks always posting restocks. Even if the company outright can't say we are restocking this, because as a company, it's not you don't want to really show the licensors that your book is out of stock. So you don't want to say, wait, why is our property not in print? Like
Mm,
why are you saying like it's back in stock. Shouldn't this always be in stock? So it's more like continuing the print. So it's definitely
Hmm.
more. So it's more like that. You can't outright say like yes, like you can say these are coming back in print, coming back in stock, because of course due to shortages and just printing in general. But outright saying this is like out of print, you can't purchase this anymore when it's like technically your license. So it's not really the case.
That's really helpful. And I've been waiting almost a year for Bongo Stray Dogs Volume 15, but
Hmm.
I'm very patiently waiting. And I know because new volumes
Yes.
come out, it will come back eventually.
Hmm.
And I did. I bought all of Higurashi, and you're right. Some of the books are really thick, but I
Hmm.
am, and you guys even reprinted the side story. So I'm
Hmm.
very very grateful. And my hope for anyone who's listening, if you have not bought any of these series or recently reprinted, please buy them as soon as you can, because this shows Yen Press that hey, this is something that people want. And I'll also encourage them, if the sales are good, my guess is they'll make it so they will keep reprinting this so that newer generations, as manga continues to grow and expand, that everyone can find these, hopefully at retail price, and becomes more available.
Definitely. Mhm.
So, as we wrap up, are there any questions you wish more people are asking, or anything you would want people to know or better understand about you, Jaden, or behind the scenes in your industry?
Mhm. Let's see. So I guess I'd give more background about me after my internship. So I'm still currently a freelancer for Yen Press. So I'm doing a lot of video work now. So I'm actually still working on projects now, few unannounced things. Working a lot on the new Korean Eyes Press imprint. So doing a lot of advertisements for that. So I'm still working for Yen Press as a freelancer, getting a lot of work in. So definitely still keeping the connections going. Everyone at Yen Press is so great. I'm so really talkative to them. So close things. So working on things, which is always great. So yeah, or just in general, I'm still looking for opportunities. I'm doing more commissions. I didn't get the opportunity, but I did have a Crunchyroll interview a few months ago. So now, even though I didn't land the position, I still have those connections. So in general, just having these connections are great. So like I have many connections throughout the manga industry now, just from this one internship alone, which is like super, like it's amazing to me. So definitely, I would like to strive in the manga industry, keep on growing and growing while working with Yen Press still, while I'm still building out my portfolio. So definitely keep on going in there, rise the ranks of the manga industry, see what other companies are there. And this isn't announced yet, but I'm also going to be a logo designer for a certain company as a freelancer. So the title isn't announced yet. So I'm going to announce it when the title goes live, but do another freelance gig for that company. So definitely rising the ranks. And just in general, I do manga content as well. So I've always been a fan of manga in general. So I guess that also gave me a better shot in the industry since I knew, because like I've worked with companies like, for example, wearing a Right Stuff anime shirt. I'm a part of their digital partner program. So I kind of knew the marketing team for Right Stuff while working for Yen Press. So kind of like I knew the guys at Right Stuff. So kind of like went hand in hand a bit. And definitely. And for questions more people ask, um, personally, I love when people ask more behind the scenes, like, oh, how is it like? Because I wish more companies went towards the behind the scene aspect, like just like simple stuff like an office picture of their setup to see what like the nerdy fun things they have, or like this a perspective like this. Like that's why I found this industry so interesting. Like even if another person was on this interview and I see someone in the industry, I would watch it. I find it so interesting to see people's perspectives, point of views, their workflow, and it's how everything is. So definitely more about the people in the industry other than the properties, I'd say. Hmm.
Oh, I love that. That's so. Second to last question:
Hmm.
what property coming out are you most excited about? And I'll share real quick just my thoughts.
Okay.
I didn't know. I was embarrassed. I didn't know anything about this series called "The Villains Are Destined to Die."
Hmm. Hmm.
But when they announced that at SakuraCon, the crowd went nuts. And
Yes.
here am I silent, like I have no idea what this is. And because of that excitement, I knew this is something I need to get day one. So
Hmm.
what's something that maybe not as many people know, or they might be a weeb like me who didn't know about that series? What's one coming out that you're excited about that you hope more people check will check out?
Yeah, so as someone new to the whole Korean comics in general, definitely look at Ice Press. That's a whole new world for me. I'm a anime manga guy. I don't know about these Korean properties, these webtoons and stuff. So like even Solo Leveling is new to me. Of course, I heard of Solo Leveling. It's a pretty big property and it's getting an anime, but I didn't know too much about it. And once Yen Press released the beginning after the end, another webtoon by Tapas, I was like, wow, this is like a whole new world to me. And looking at Ice Press, a whole new imprint, like there's a lot of interesting series coming out, like The Boxer, The World After the Fall. And so there's just many things. Like there's even gonna be like a BTS book. Like it's like so many different things. It's like a whole new world. So definitely looking more into like the Korean sides of Ice Press is so interesting. And just in general, there's a lot of great light novels. Like there's like creators for popular works like the Data Life creator King's Proposals having a new work, um the Strike the Blood creator Hollow Regalia have a new work. So like a lot of these popular light novel creators have new works. So and there's like a lot of interest stuff. Like I'm a big fan of the Dengeki Bunko imprint, so just anything by that is always interesting to me. So if like you see like a volume one light novel, check it out. Look at r/light novels. As a person who worked at Yenpa, I always looked at r/light novels, all the sub things. Like I look deep into these things. So I definitely see a fan perspectives and their point of views as myself being a fan. So always looking at suggestions as well. So definitely more of that. And I'm also quite excited for more Bunko Stray Dogs content. I love it. Dead Apple got a manga release. I love the movie. So it's pretty cool. Fans really wanted to see that one. So that's something to look out for too. And also Chain Soldier that came out. So that one's really interesting because that's a more jump title. That's in a more different imprint than, well, not imprint, that's more of a different licensor than typically Yen Press does. So for Yen Press to get like Chain Soldier and, well, I believe the other one was Honey Lemon Soda, people was really excited for those.
I'm pre-ordering honey lemon soda, so I'm excited.
Yes. I'm so excited for it too.
So last question. If people are interested in following you, where can they find you these days? And I'll put
Yeah, for sure.
links down below in the show notes for everyone.
You can find me on at Blasu on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and then on YouTube on Toonie. So I know it's a bit confusing. My tag name's Jaden, at name's Blasu, YouTube Toonie. So on Toonie, I do a lot of manga content. If you're into like the series, A Certain Magical Index, A Certain Scientific Railgun, I cover that a lot. That's a bit my niche. And so it's like 50-50. I do 50 the 2 hour series, which is Index and Railgun. I do 50 manga content. So like I do manga hauls, manga reviews, I do anime merch videos. I want to do more. I tried a video for Shangri-La Frontier by Kodansha. I did a volume one review, so I want to dive more into reviews. So do more like if the new released volume one coming out, like what's what I'm working on? Like there's a manga series called Go Go Loser, and it's such a weird title by Kodansha, and I feel like not a lot of people know about it. So I want to do a volume one review. I feel like people would type in this series. And I feel like a lot of people don't know it's actually by the creator of the quintessential quintuplets. And
Mhm.
it's like a Power Rangers type story. It's completely different. And so to try out this more volume one, then I did Shangri-La Frontier, which is getting an anime. So I'm trying out that. I'm gonna try out like another manga called My Happy Marriage. It's been crushing Oricon charts. And I feel like the light novel is by Yen Press, but the manga is by Square Enix Books. So
Mhm.
it's interesting. So it's like, do people really know? Maybe people just Google like stuff they don't want to read, maybe check out a video. So try to get it close to release date. So that's gonna be more my thing going forward. See what the more print releases are like and do more Tawaru content, just do in general anime manga.
Well, Jane, thank you so much for joining the show today. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me.